Welcome to Black Women's World Podcast. Welcome to Black Women's World, where Black women vibe and thrive together. And if you ain't a Black woman, you'll get to know at least one. Because this Black Women's World, my Black woman's world, is whatever I say it is, simply because I am. So welcome, Sistanistas and Sistanista lovers. We're here for you. Much love and peace. Well, hey y'all, it's Tracy Mack. Listen, it is cold here this morning at 5:28. Listen, I know it may be cold where you are, but we ain't used to 12 degrees. And some people from up north will say, oh, that ain't nothing. That ain't nothing for you. But that's something for us. Just like Dr. Berry was saying on her video the other day, we don't have the equipment when we get a little dust of snow like you have up north. So bear with us and let us have our folly with our little dusting. But listen, I was thinking, ever since 2020, when I started the podcast during the pandemic, I said in my voiceover work voice, where you can find the vibe with your tribe. And ever since then, and I've capitalized on and put a lot of emphasis on finding your tribe since then, and especially within the past year. And I began to think the other day when a fellow entrepreneur of mine was hosting a Christmas gathering for business owners, and how we both talk about over the years and every years how we miss that. I delved into entrepreneurship and hired myself in 2012. But my tribe prior to then, one of my tribes was my coworkers. And I miss that. I miss that camaraderie. Even at one time, I worked at a place where I have described as Hell's Basement. And the average person will say, well, why did you stay, baby? I needed the benefits. The pay sucked, but I needed the benefits. There was no room for advancement. Management had overt aspects of racism, sexism. And it was just a terrible space to work for those people. But my co-workers, them jokers were my tribe. I was going through a lot then, and the reason why I needed the benefits is because my husband has health insurance that I'm on, but it wasn't enough. I needed a second health insurance and still had medical bills. I was going through a lot, having a lot of testing. Even I was a case study at one time because they couldn't find that. They kept misdiagnosing me with cancer, lupus, and some other things, and case studies at different hospitals. And I would let them draw fluids from me, but I would not let them inject me with anything. And just thinking back how tumultuous that time was for me and my family. We just relocated back to the States. My medical bills had us in debt out the yin yang. Our daughter had already been diagnosed with cognitive delays, and then here comes dyslexia. My family was falling apart. My extended family was falling apart and splintering. And so the people at my workplace were my tribe. And we used to have a good old time, even though they mistreated us and did things that we even tried to file complaints, but they had inroads with certain people. And it was just rough. I remember one time I had taken off and had to get FMLA, and they gave me leave without question. My coworkers did. And during that time, an incident had happened while I was out. And when I got back to work, everybody came to my cubicle to tell me about it and whatever. And they were also like, they're going to investigate it and take us downtown. And what do we say? And I just simply said, well, don't say nothing. Well, a few days later, I get an email that they want me to come downtown about the incident. And I'm like, I wasn't even at work. I wasn't even there. And come to find out, when I get down there, I said, why am I here? I wasn't even there for the incident. And they said, because you were overheard telling your coworkers that when they came here, not to say anything. So we need to know why you said that. And they were sitting at I was at one end of the table, and the 4 people interviewing me were at the other end down there together. And they said, Miss McNeil, we need to know why you said what you said. I didn't say nothing. And why was I going to tell my coworkers to go down there who were involved in the incident not to say nothing? And then I get down there and start running my mouth. Nah, Jack. So we sat there for the better part of about 30, 35 minutes, and I didn't say a word. They finally let me go. But my co-workers were my tribe. We were in cubicles, and they would even give us more work because they could not fault us on not getting the work done with excellence and getting it done well and on time. So they would do even things equivalent to back in the Bible days. They would take straw and still want us to make bricks, and we'd turn them bricks out because we worked together. Even if there were some things we didn't like about one another, we still worked together. We were a tribe. And in my cubicle area, there was one of my coworkers who could, it was kind of diagonal, but both of us had to back away from our workspace in order to see each other. And sometimes the management would come through and say stuff, and she and I would have these little codes we do, you know that, or, and we talked a lot about our families and the similarities we all had. But she and I, because we were in the line of sight, we would have a good old time getting our work done and talking about our families, the things our parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles say, and those words that they would, mess up, and the little wisdom they would. And I remember sharing with her that my mother-in-law said sometimes you don't get along with the people you love. That's how I interpreted it. But what she said was, teeth and tongue in the same mouth, they bite sometimes. And we would talk about things like, if you're of a certain age and you have grandparents and aunts and uncles, you know that range around and range off are two different things. My grandmother would say, put in the Frigidaire, and you knew what that meant. And I'm not going to let anybody think that they were not intelligent, because you got to go back and remember that my ancestors and grandparents and everybody that goes back before me, they were stolen from the continent of Africa, from 54 different countries, and beaten and raped and maimed. They had the first passage, the middle, and the third. When they got to the shores of this country, there were not planes to take them into the different plantations. They had to walk behind horses and buggies, and it was hard. And they had to learn a new language that was forced upon them, and they didn't even know sometimes one another's languages because they came from different countries. And for them to be able to learn the language and have to come up with ways to communicate, the words they say range around and whatever, I count it an honor in their intelligence. And though we laugh at and with them, I appreciate the way that they have allowed their English language to evolve into their own language. And so I was sharing with her about that. And one day she said, girl, you never believe, my grandma, and I can't remember the whole story, I don't recall it all, but she said, my grandma said, just keep on doing what you Judy do. And we laughed. Judy Do, Judy Do. And to this day, I can't even remember her grandmother's name, but every time I would ask her about her grandma, I'd say, how Judy doing? And so sometimes she would tell me something about her grandma. She said, girl, Judy said. So we just called her Grandma Judy Do. And I said all that to get to this point. There's a lot going on in the world, a lot of horrible things. I was speaking to people yesterday who are already being affected by some of these heartless decisions, and have to listen to some of them this morning. Baby, keep doing what you Judy do. Love who you usually love. They cannot legislate your heart, your mind, your spirit, your will. If you have been loving your family, keep loving your family. If you have been a painter or sculptor, a singer, an artist, keep doing it. If you have been an activist, you may have to pause and shift, because some things are not business as usual, to get a God idea of how to move forward. And pausing isn't laziness. Pausing is just a pause to pivot. But keep doing what you Judy do. It's hard, but if you don't let them change you, right now what we're seeing a lot of acts of greed. I wrote in my book Thought Systems. Greed is fear with money. So what you're saying is their fear out loud. And don't allow it to put you in fear, because you are still the master of your mind. You are still in control. The God in you is still in control of you. Those things that money can't buy, your hope, your love, how you respond Baby, keep doing what you Judy do. And as I Judy do, I'm grateful and I love y'all for real. Much love and peace. You've been listening to Black Women's World Podcast, the BWWP, brought to you in part by Tracy Mack Solutions for Life Institute, Coaching and Training Services. No doubt you have enjoyed being in our world, and it doesn't have to stop here. Head on over to blackwomensworld.com. This is my personal invitation to you to stay connected with me on social media and more. I'd love to see you there, and I'm so grateful you came to be with me here. Invite someone else to join you in our queendom next time so they can feel the vibe of our tribe of Sistanistas and Sistanista lovers too. Remember to be kind, be authentic, be generous, be excellent, be grateful, and while you're at it, go ahead and be extraordinary, because that's just what Sistanistas do, on purpose through mission with passion and compassion. It's a Black woman's world, baby, and you, my Sistanista, are proof. I'm your self-discovery companion, your professional peacemaker, and your host, Tracy Mack. Wherever you are in the world, may you love and be loved by somebody. Peace.